There was struggle on every side of the ball in every facet. This team is unprepared, out-executed, out-coached. It felt like 2024 with a five-star quarterback. For a Michigan-Ohio State college football podcast, I feel like we are talking a lot about James Franklin and Penn State.
Well, if he would just let it be so easy.
The goal every day is there's a main character on the internet, and your goal is to not be that person. And James Franklin continues to be the main character on the internet. Welcome to the Rivalry Podcast. My name is Jace. That's Mr. JP. This is a Michigan-Ohio State college football podcast from River Radio Ministries and presented by our friends at Elevated Integrity Construction. All across social media at Rival Pod, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and on YouTube. If you want to support the podcast, the number one thing you can do is subscribe, rate, and review. That gets us in front of more eyes and ears. The algorithm has been so appreciative of all the new subscribers, the folks who are engaging with the comments section and all that. Please continue to do that. This is a small budget podcast that helps a ton. And if you do want to support the podcast in other ways as well, go to rivalpod.com. You can throw like $5 our way, help us with trips to Ann Arbor or the postseason. If you're watching on YouTube, I've got custom Rival Pod merch. You can get that at the website as well. However you choose to support, however you're listening right now, thank you for doing that. We love the emotion of college football. We believe Michigan-Ohio State is the greatest rivalry, not just in college football, but in all of sports. That's why we do what we do. But before we get into Michigan and Ohio State and their respective weekends, we have to run back for the third consecutive week. We do this little icebreaker called Wheel Round.
Yeah.
And we have been focused on Penn State the last 2 weeks because they continue to make themselves the focus.
It's like that SpongeBob meme where it's like, how many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? And it's just James Franklin, because I'm so sick of talking about it, but
you have to
this week,
to, though.
Because, man, what a collapse. This might be the biggest program collapse since I can remember. And I've watched college football for 25 plus years.
When was the last time that a preseason national title favorite not fell out of the top 25, whatever, but like just imploded?
Yeah.
This poorly. You went from, a drive away from playing for a national title, a preseason national championship favorite. All the way that you built the team was like champions from the Big Ten in the last couple of years. And then to implode 6 weeks in and fire your head coach. Incredible. Just incredible. And by the way, thank you, Penn State, for not breaking this news after we already started recording the podcast.
Yes.
Thank you for doing it on a Sunday afternoon while we were trying to enjoy God's gift of the Sabbath, watching NFL football. Thank you for breaking it at a reasonable time. We appreciate it.
It was the one thing that made me happy on Sunday, because the Browns just looked atrocious again.
Well, I stayed up way too late watching Jared Goff and the Lions.
That's fair. Okay. Well, you and I talked a couple of weeks ago, even after the Oregon-Penn State game, where we brought up his record against ranked opponents, and we're kind of like, okay, he lost another big game. The season ain't over yet, but man, it's starting to get really tough to defend that guy. What does this look like? Because you still had Ohio State on your schedule and weren't going to be favored in that game. And that was a must win for, I think both you and I both agreed on that.
100%,
that if you went out this year and you lost that Ohio State game, real conversations about James Franklin's jobs were going to be held. Then the next week they go and they lose to a UCLA team that has just been atrocious for a majority.
Just fired their head coach.
Until these past, they had just fired their head coach, and then you go out there and you just get bullied. I mean, Nico goes out there and just has a phenomenal game, and we had the conversation again of, okay, well, now it ain't just the big games. Now you're losing ones that you should clearly dominate, that you've shown in the past you dominate. Is it time now? Because now you've got absolutely zero room for error, not like you didn't after the Oregon game, but now there really is nothing, and the expectation is set even higher now of you've got to be perfect, and not only be perfect, but you've got to be above that even, and you've got to go out there and you've got to win games convincingly. You've got to look really good and show that those are just kind of flaws. And then they go out this past weekend and they lose to Northwestern, and Drew Aller gets hurt and is out for the rest of the year. And now you're looking at James Franklin, who's now no longer the head coach. And like you said, this was a team that I think even at the beginning of the year, I said, I don't like it, but this is who I think should be in the national championship.
I mean, we both picked them to win the Big Ten.
Yeah.
And they are in danger of not making a bowl game, which again, at this point, bowl eligibility is the least of their concerns. It's more about the future of this program, because whether James Franklin came back to coach next year or not, this team was going to, in all likelihood, take a step back next year. This was the year to do it. In no one's wildest dreams or nightmares, if you're a Penn State fan, did you imagine in 6 weeks you'd go from this is the year to we just fired our head coach mid-season? And so just crazy stuff. But at some point, I think you have to your point, you have to cut ties if you're Penn State. What is the worst that can happen? You're going to lose to another UCLA level team. I mean, he completely lost. It looked to me like he lost the locker room, meaning that they did not play with any sort of inspiration. He doesn't look like he's coaching with any sort of inspiration. I don't know if he saw the writing on the wall or what.
The fan base had already turned on him. I mean, it was just bad. The thing that I thought was astounding, because when we first brought this up, people talked about it in our YouTube section about, well, no, it's not going to happen. The buyout is too massive. He was owed, I think, like $56 million or something around that range. I saw somebody that made a graphic of what that breaks down. And he signed till 2031. He is making 25 cents per second, $15.22 per minute, $913 per hour, almost $22,000 per day, almost $159,000 per week, and almost $667,000 per month. James Franklin's doing all right.
$900 an hour is usually like when someone asks me for like my freelance stuff or like audio editing or whatever, I'd say, yeah, it's $900 an hour.
So here's my deeper question with this, because I feel like we all, outside of maybe some Penn State fans and some other people in our YouTube comments, kind of saw this coming, because I think if we're being realistic, nobody saw them. They thought it would be a good game, but prior to this week, I think everybody still thought, well, they're going to lose to Ohio State when they come to Columbus at the beginning of November. So we all kind of saw the writing on the wall. Where do you think, or who do you think fills this position? There's been a couple of names floating around, and then I've got a spicy take. I know that it's way too early. Here's where I think Franklin lands. Do you want to go first, or do you want me to just?
I mean, I'll go first just because I feel like anything. Now, maybe you've got, some Nostradamus prophetic gift or something, but I feel like anything you say at this point about who's going to fill the role for Penn State or where Franklin goes, I mean, is just throwing spaghetti at the wall. I mean, I don't.
There are two names that I feel, and one I feel stronger about than the other.
I don't feel like anybody has a clue, and so I am nervous about you throwing out names because it feels like engagement farming, but go ahead.
I'm going to do it anyways. Okay. So the popular name that people have been calling out that I don't think is realistic is Curt Cignetti.
Absolutely not.
He's not leaving.
No.
The two realistic ones, and people have said this in our YouTube comments, is Manny Diaz from Duke. He was the former Penn State defensive coordinator. The other one that I've seen that has been another popular choice is Matt Rule. That one I think is a little less likely. I know that he's got some ties there.
Yeah, Matt Rule ain't leaving Nebraska, and nor would that be an upgrade.
I don't think so either.
Matt Rule has proven at Nebraska, one, that he is a good coach. But again, the question comes back for Penn State. Do you want to be Iowa and Nebraska? Or do you want to be Michigan and Ohio State? Matt Rule isn't going to get you to Michigan and Ohio State levels.
No, not at all. Curt Cignetti, maybe, but I just don't think with what he's building at Indiana, they're going to let him go at all. Are you ready for my hot take on where I think James Franklin ends up?
Sure.
I think he stays in the Big Ten.
Where's it going?
I think he goes UCLA.
That would be ironic. That'd be interesting.
I think he does.
He'd have a chance to beat Penn State yet again, if you will.
You've got Nico, a good young guy. I think that's an obvious fit where the culture is getting there. You've got some good young coaches. Their offensive coordinator has been great for them the past couple of weeks.
Would the reception back in Happy Valley when the UCLA comes out there be better or worse than what he was receiving already?
Oh, man.
And by the way, like if, as far as the open vacancy goes, like, yes, we will coach Penn State. I can tweet Iowa on our social media accounts as well.
You already do. I've seen it.
With the exact same result.
I've seen it.
Yeah, Penn State is a mess. It's the right decision. It's the right decision.
Earlier than I would have thought, but it's absolutely the right
But
call.
again, you may as well. Do you want to wait an additional 2 to 3 months, or do you want to get it done now? And they decided we've had enough. It's not even about salvaging the season at this point. It's about giving yourself as much time as possible, I guess, to go ahead and start the turnover.
Yeah.
At this point, I mean, and they're seeing the recruiting dominoes already.
Yep. A couple of guys already decommitted.
Spell, that 5-star running back, interest in Michigan, interest in Ohio State.
Visited Ohio State a couple of weeks ago.
I mean, programs like that are going to vulture these guys because
100%.
And this is, by the way, not to preview the conversation on the Michigan side, but when some of these fans get all up in their feels about Sherrone Moore and wanted to, light him on fire and shoot him to the moon or whatever, you realize what in the NIL era firing your coach does, right? And that doesn't mean that you should never do it. It just means that you do need to know, okay, well, what's going to happen to this phenomenal recruiting class? They ain't sticking around to find out who you hire. Speaking, by the way, of coaches who are just on fire, but like in a good way.
This is something we don't typically do with Wheel Route, but there were two things this past weekend that just felt like they deserved the spotlight.
Indiana is now verified and would like an apology from you.
They ain't gonna get it.
Indiana goes into Oregon and doesn't fluke their way into a win, straight up beats Oregon at Oregon. Something, by the way, that even Ohio State last year in their national title run could not get done. Indiana currently has a top 5 defense and a top 10 offense. I don't know what else. If you're not willing to give Indiana credence at this point, I don't know what else to do for you.
I'm just not.
And that's just such a foolish take to refuse to admit that Indiana's a good football team is just it's just asinine. And this is why no one enjoys Ohio State fans.
Here's where I will give Indiana credit. Their defense has been spectacular.
You'll give Indiana credit across the board because look what they just did.
Against Oregon, they had 6 sacks, 8 TFLs, 2 interceptions. Against Illinois, they had 7 sacks, 10 TFLs, and an interception against Illinois. They are top 5 in almost every defensive category in the country. They're fourth in points per game allowed. They're 4th in yards per game, and they're 3rd in sacks with 22. Their remaining schedule: Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisconsin, and Purdue.
Kind of skipped over UCLA there. Listen, UCLA.
Well, I was just going.
I'm kidding.
Don't get me started on trap games for them. But realistically, this is a team that'll most likely end the season undefeated. They'll be playing in Indy. It'll be a home game for them, essentially. A very interesting team. But here's where I start to think through things. Because I look at the Oregon game, and I think Oregon's a good team. That's a quality win. But I'm trying to measure just how much, because I think leading up to this game, everybody was saying Oregon's a top 3 team in the nation. They're one of the elite teams that could be a title contender. And I'm looking at who they played, and I'm going, their only real big win was against Penn State on the road, who we just got done talking about as a dumpster fire, who just lost back-to-back games against Northwestern and UCLA. So now I'm thinking back, much like people do against Ohio State and Texas, where now you're looking back and you're going, okay, well, just how quality was a win at Penn State? Because the facts are the facts. They just lost to UCLA and they lost to a Northwestern team. Granted, UCLA is starting to turn it around, but I'm starting to measure up those wins because you can go off the name, you can go off the preseason rankings, and sure, at the time, Penn State was undefeated, but now they're not. Now they've got 3 losses across the board. So how much weight am I willing to put on that Oregon-Penn State game where it took them until overtime to beat that team?
But that's looking at, number one, that's looking at just transitive win properties, which does not work in college football.
Look at I look at their Illinois win, and that's dominant. That was as dominant of a victory as you can. But I also found out this past weekend, Illinois just ain't that good of a team. They remind me a lot of Indiana from last year, where they didn't really play anybody. Any of the games that were tough games, they got absolutely smoked in. They're just not to that tier. Luke Altmaier is a great player.
So here's my question: Who do you want Indiana to beat? I mean, if you're going to take the route, which is absolutely ridiculous, if you're going to take the route that Indiana ain't played nobody, Who do you want them to play?
I will give Indiana credit
Who do you
when
want
they
them
win
to
the
beat?
Big Ten championship because they don't play anybody else on their schedule that's going to scare me.
Here's the thing, dude. Like, you won't give them credit for winning a Big Ten championship because you'll still say, well, we didn't play. If it's Ohio State, well, we didn't play our best game. Or if it's
they
USC,
go out there,
it's, well, I don't know. That defense is weak.
I will die on many a hills if they go out.
Indiana could go out there and beat the Philadelphia Eagles, and you would still say,
that is just not true.
Philly shot themselves in the foot too many times.
If Indiana's going to make the Big Ten championship game. I feel like that's just, I would stand firm on that. If they play the likes of an Ohio State, I would say if they beat that team, I will give them credit. There's probably some others, but I think realistically, just due to the nature of schedules, that seems like the likely matchup at this point.
That's just an utter lack of watching football.
I watched the whole thing. I watched the whole thing. I'm not saying that they are fraudulent. I'm just not willing to all of a sudden jump on them being an elite level team yet. The defense, absolutely elite.
I'm more fired up about this than I am maybe about anything else in this podcast.
Look, I will sit here on record. If they win the Big Ten championship, I will come on this podcast and I will apologize. But if they go out and they make the Big Ten, you would come on
and apologize if they beat Oregon.
When did I say that?
Last episode.
Well, I don't believe it. Show me the tape. I would never. I would never.
Man, now you've got me fired up about this, and I'm trying to save my frustration for this next segment, where I have to talk about Michigan.
Well,
USC.
I've got a lot of things to say.
I'm sure you do. I think you've done enough. You get to pick. It's like going to the grocery store. You get to pick one dumb thing to say this week, and it has to be 99 cents or less.
You used all of yours last week when you said that Bryce Underwood was better than Arch Manning.
Bryce Underwood is still better than Arch Manning.
Just
all
false.
right, we're not doing that. Okay, let's talk Michigan USC here. There's 1,000 different things that we could do with this USC game. Here's where I've got to start. I mean, this is across the board just a poor performance from Michigan. And I've tried to, think through and read and listen and analyze and figure out, well, like, where's the blame live and how this game played out. Number one, off the bat, you have to give credit to USC. Lincoln Riley called a phenomenal football game. Jaden Mayava played a phenomenal football game. Makai Lemon and company played a phenomenal football game. USC looked like a great team. That being said, on the Michigan side, blame lies with every single player and every single member of the coaching staff. I mean, I'm not going to say that there were no positives from this game. Like, there were bright moments in this game. So don't hear me saying that. But there was just struggle on every side of the ball in every facet. And ultimately, this team is unprepared, out-executed, out-coached. It felt like 2024 with a 5-star quarterback. Like, it had that vibe. Like, was it the disaster, of watching, Michigan, Illinois or Michigan, Washington last year? No, but it had that feel of, what exactly are we doing here? And what's frustrating is because I'm worried what this game means. And I felt like this way after Oklahoma too. What does this game mean, not just for 2025, but what's it mean into 2026? Like, what does it mean moving forward? And what I'm trying to figure out with the Sherrone Moore era is, what is a bug and what's a feature, right? So a team coming out and getting beat by USC like that, a team whose offense, I said last week, was legitimate, was a very good offense, but whose defense I questioned, but whose defense looked really good on Saturday night.
Even their offense, I feel like you kind of questioned a little bit, where you knew they were good, but you didn't know the real eye test of just how good the defense was.
I don't think that I doubt it, but I think that was a fair question, though, to say. I believe I said, it's hard to tell because I haven't seen them play anybody, but I believe that this is a legitimate offense, and I think they proved that right. I said that they'd score about 28 points. They scored 31. I think what I'm trying to get at is, I'm concerned that Michigan coming out unprepared, especially on the road, I'm concerned that this is not a bug in the system, but might be a feature of the Sherrone Moore system. That concerns me. I'm concerned about this Wink Martindale defense, where we're getting so creative on different things that the guys can't execute it. But at the same time, if you're there, you have to tackle. And so that's what I mean by, is it scheme? Yeah. Is it coaching? Yeah. Was it execution? Yeah. And that's that's a frustrating concern for what that looks like in this game and moving forward. It's. What do you got? What do you got? That's really my. I want to get into the nitty gritty of it. That's my overview. Is I have concerns about. This is not the first time this has happened, and I have concerns about what are you doing to prevent it from happening again. And I don't have a good answer for that, and that raises a red flag for me.
Yeah, I think for me, what really surprised me about this game is I feel like even in the tougher games this season, the Nebraska game, even looking back to the Oklahoma game for Michigan, it always felt like they were in it. Even if the score didn't necessarily show it, they never truly felt out of it. This was a game where I felt lucky that they only lost by as much as they lost by.
I think that's fair.
There were two circumstances, which I'm not taking anything away from Michigan. I thought they were just great plays. I'm talking about the fumble and the interception. Mm-hmm. A bad throw by Maeva, and then a great hit by Jair Hill to knock the ball loose. Both of those were in Michigan territory. USC was threatening both drives.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's fair. I think, I think I'd agree with you because I don't think that it would be fair to say, well, USC stopped themselves. No, Michigan forced those plays.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that statement and say anything less of what Michigan's defense did.
You are correct, where USC could easily have put up 45 points on Michigan. And I think that's really, if we want to start on the defensive side for Michigan, I think that's the concern is, again, last episode, I think I was pretty respectful of the USC offense. I expected them to get their shots. I expected them to get their points. What I did not expect was Michigan's defense to look just completely overwhelmed. And I was listening to some folks at MGO Blog who do more of the X's and O's thing. And again, if you're new on the podcast, you're here for vibes. You're not here for the X's and O's. But one of the things that I thought was really wise that they brought up was that when Wink runs his defense, if guys don't know where they're supposed to be or what their assignment is or where they're supposed to be lined up, it exacerbates the fact that, hey, maybe there were some fundamental tackling issues. And also maybe there's some fundamental tackling issues because you don't know where you're supposed to be at any given time and you're out of position. And I was trying to think back, when was the last time that I felt Michigan's defense was so overwhelmed? There are only two that came to mind for me. One would be Texas last year. But I even don't think that was as much overwhelmed as much as Texas was just a flat out better team.
Yeah.
The last one that comes to mind for me, and this will, shake the cobwebs off the memories for this one for Michigan, would have been the COVID year. And it was against Wisconsin, where Wisconsin beat Michigan something, and I've blocked out most of this game from my memory.
That's valid.
But it was a COVID year. It was a weird thing. But I mean, Wisconsin beat Michigan like 49-10 in front of an empty big house. Wisconsin had 464 yards in that game. USC had 489 on Saturday. Like, that's the last time that I can remember. And I can give a mulligan for that because it's COVID and that whole season was weird. This is not that. And so that's concerning to me, that the part of the Michigan team that I feel like you've been able to rely on year in and year out is that defense. That did not feel like, and I'm not saying Michigan would have won the game with Michigan playing better defense, but they certainly would have been more in that football game.
Yeah, I think the one thing that really shocked me, and maybe you'll agree with this, I don't know.
I'm very frustrated, so I probably will.
It feels like this game in particular, and just given Michigan's recent success on defense, the one thing that defense usually can contain are the explosive plays. They might get scored on. You've given up points before, but they're sustaining drives. It's little chunk plays, nothing crazy over the top.
Bend not break.
Yeah, I mean, and that's just been kind of an identity for them. This was one of the first games in a couple of years that I remember where there was just big play. I mean, there was one where it was a 3rd and 20 something, and they just break loose. And I feel like that happened a second time where there were just crazy explosive plays.
That is the encapsulation of this football game. Is you had, I think it was, and I'm blanking on what, I feel like it was a 10-point game at this point. I think it was I want to say it was a 10-point game. Mekhi Lemon had just picked up a personal foul penalty on second down after the play. TJ Metcalf had lit him up, and he grabs his ankle and takes a penalty. So now it's 3rd and 27 or whatever. And USC is essentially just saying, we'll get some yards and punt. And again, this goes back to the Wink thing. No one looks like they're in position, nor can anybody tackle. And the combination of those things leads to King Miller ripping off like a 47-yard first down.
Yeah.
And he did. He had another one on the outside.
There's another one on the left side.
And so
basically to seal the deal.
I've not seen a Michigan defense get dominated like that. And they got dominated on Saturday night. So again, credit to USC, credit to Lincoln Riley. But you also have to have the flip side and go, Michigan just did not play well. I said last episode too, they were dangerous because they can beat you so many different ways. They can beat you running the ball. They can beat you with screens. They can beat you throwing downfield. They did all those things and they did them all well.
This next week is no break though.
It's not. Let me hit on the offensive side for Michigan. But yes, but pause. So I do want to mention offensively. Again, I don't think this has to be as long as the defensive section there, but offensively, I also felt, again, just across the board, Michigan just did not play well. Certainly Justice Haynes going out affected the team. There's no Haynes is a dark horse Heisman contender right now. There's no damn. He's like the 5th leading rusher in the country. No doubt that affected things. That is not why Michigan lost this game, but no doubt that affected things. The offensive line struggled mightily in this game. I mean, Michigan on both sides of the line, both offense and defense, got beat up by USC. That shouldn't have happened. There's just no way that should happen. They couldn't pass protect very well, and I know offensive line was a big question after Oklahoma, and then it looked pretty good against Nebraska, and now it's back to being questioned. How much of that is coaching? How much of that is the fact that we're starting 3 underclassmen? It's probably both. Bryce didn't have a great game. He wasn't. I felt like some of the reaction afterwards was he was terrible. He wasn't terrible.
It was okay.
But he certainly made some mistakes. I know people will point to the interception he threw in
a bad
USC
throw, but
see, and here's the one thing I'll say on that. I'm not convinced yet that is a Bryce thing. It looks to me, if you watch down at the bottom, and I'd have to go back and see if we can get a better angle on it. Donovan McCulley looks like he should be at the spot where that ball gets thrown to. He looks like he gets held, and you can kind of see him spin around, and it slows him down enough, and the ball ends up in USC's hands. Regardless of whether it's that play on Bryce or on Donovan, or if it was missed PI or whatever, Bryce had a pretty pedestrian game. He made some mistakes. This was not a Bryce Underwood fault game. This is across the board. Hey, he didn't play super well. Offensive line plays. This was just a bad, in one sense, a burn the tape game for Michigan. In another sense, I don't want you to burn the tape because I need Michigan to learn from it. And here's why, and it's to what you're about to say, which is Washington this weekend is USC 2.0. And
better in my mind.
In one sense, I'm kind of cool with this. Right? Like, yes, in one sense, you'd love to play, and yes, this is a shot at Penn State, Northwestern, the week after a tough loss. In another sense, I kind of love the fact that after that performance, you get USC 2.0. Here's a team that has an offense with weapons everywhere. Here's a team with a defense that seems like they could be kind of susceptible. Here's a chance to make things right. So Washington's offense, really, really good. We have previewed a lot of this with Ohio State when Ohio State went out to Seattle. But in case you missed that, or you're a Michigan fan who skips through that section, don't do that. That's rude. This whole podcast is predicated on this.
Stay for all of it, you cowards.
Honestly, it's like the Hawaii test from Sicko's Committee. I mean, DeMond Williams, fantastic. He's been fantastic. 1,600 yards, 10 touchdowns, 1 pick, which I believe was the Ohio State game.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
74% completion percentage for 1,600. It's not like he's throwing for 400 yards and all little swing passes, right? 74% completion, 1,600 yards. Denzel Boston, one of the best receivers in the country. Desmond Roebuck has kind of come on as their wide receiver too. He's got about half the targets that Boston has, but 75% of his yardage. That's pretty good. Oh, and also Jonah Coleman.
Yeah, maybe
is the running back,
skipping
right?
through Jonah Coleman.
And so for Michigan, I mean, we saw the struggle to cover Mekhi Lemon, understandably so, right? Are we going to see Denzel Boston toast Jair Hill? Probably so.
Hopefully.
one of the areas that I think Washington's offense can struggle a little bit is I think Damon Williams tries to hold on to the ball too long. He sometimes tries to make plays with his legs that just aren't there. There are a lot of elements of a more seasoned Bryce Underwood with Damon Williams, I think, because yes, he holds the ball too long. Yes, he maybe tries to make some plays that aren't there. He also makes plays out of nothing. And it's just, I mean, he's dangerous. He can escape if you let him get outside. And based on the tackling I saw on Saturday, that is a concern for me. On the defensive side of the ball, this is, again, it's USC 2.0 because there's a huge part of me that says Michigan should be able to exploit this defense. You should be able to run the ball on them. You should be able to pass the ball on them.
Whoa. So I don't disagree with part of that, but you're pointing out the wrong side of the defense because Washington ranks 6th nationally in yards per game allowed. They're like 2nd in the Big Ten. Right behind, you guessed it. I think no, it's not Ohio State. I think it's actually Indiana, maybe.
Their rush defense is 8th in the country, ahead of OSU and Michigan. Yeah,
and so I that's what I think makes this game interesting because you walk into this game and it's the same concern that I had for Michigan going up against USC on the road. Bryce has not played exceptional in any of the big games this year. He's been okay. He's been fine. Other than I would say,
I thought he played well at Nebraska. I know you and I disagreed on that, but
fine. He played fine.
Oklahoma, USC, I would agree.
I would say he played fine against Nebraska, subpar in the other two you mentioned. And so I have questions like I have all season on can Bryce Underwood show up? I mean, you can see the talent and you can see that it's there. You can tell that he's going to continue to make those freshman mistakes.
For sure.
But what game is going to be his coming out party where he kind of learns past that? I mean, we're 6+ weeks into the season at this point.
Well, but also you have to take competition into consider. I mean, you play Central Michigan. You're not going to consider that a coming out party, but he was phenomenal. Wisconsin, you're not going to consider coming out party. He still threw for a ton of yards.
Nebraska, where he should have played better against a Nebraska. I'll give you USC, but USC, we talked about it last week. Their pass defense was susceptible, and despite Andrew Marsh having a good game, Donovan McCulley having a good game, it just wasn't mind-blowing. And so I look at this Washington team and I go, their offense is just as good as what you just faced.
I agree.
But they have an exceptional run defense, which has been the identity of the Michigan offense for seasons now. I know Justice Haynes is going to be back. He'll play. They said he could have gone in if he was needed against USC. Jordan Marshall still had a great game coming in and serving as a backup. But I look at that and I go, they're going to have to. They're going to have to be successful on the ground because Bryce hasn't proven it to me.
I mean, I think you're being unfairly critical of Bryce. I think I would agree with you as far as the Oklahoma and USC games go that he was certainly subpar in both those games. You are also correct that this Washington defense, I mean, they've given up less than 500 total yards through 6 games as far as rush defense. So yeah, I mean, I don't. While I disagree with your criticism to an extent, I don't disagree with the game flow or game plan you're talking about, which I guess the point Bryce is going to have to pass the ball well.
My point with Bryce
for Michigan to succeed in this football game.
My point with Bryce, and then I'll let you give your thoughts, is in a game like Nebraska in these bigger Big Ten matchups, he has not been the reason they have won that game. Like he's not the reason they won that game. The run game was the reason that they won that game.
But by that same token, you could say, well, Bryce is not the reason they lost to USC. Every single facet of that team.
He's not. He didn't play well, but the defense giving up 500 yards is the reason they lost that game. Yeah. And so, but I think it's fair to say he has not been the difference maker that he has been talked about. Like you last week saying that he's better than Arch Manning, but I have not seen a game that Michigan has played this season where Bryce has been the X factor for that team. It has been big, giant runs from Jordan Marshall or Justice Haynes and stellar defense from Michigan that has led them to some of those victories. He just has not done it. So until this feels like a game that he could and should, because to me, the run defense is going to be spectacular. You're going to have to rely on Andrew Marsh and McCulley to go out there and perform.
And that was to that point, that was the positive. One of the positives from the USC game is Andrew Marsh continues to get featured. Donovan McCulley continues to be featured. And it seems like Michigan's coaching staff has looked at that and gone, we should continue to do
number
that.
4 guy, we should throw the ball to him a little bit.
Which again, is another true freshman. So that having
Take
that
it from
connection
Ohio
is
State.
fantastic.
If he's got number 4 on his jersey, just toss it to him.
So let's get to the summary and predict this thing. Here's the struggle that I'm having here. Okay, so to summarize, Washington offense is really, really good. Washington's rush defense looks really good. The pass defense is susceptible. My concern is that I feel like this is the exact same scenario I had last week, where I said, hey, I think Michigan can still move the ball on this defense, and I feel like I trust our defense enough to slow them down. After the USC game, I don't know what to believe, right? This is a darn good offense. It's a defense that looks porous. I would think that Michigan's strengths should win out, but you just got embarrassed on Saturday night. However, I do think that Michigan, especially with an 18-year-old quarterback, has played better at home. This game not being in Seattle is a big advantage for Michigan. I alluded to this already. You want a chance to redeem whatever that was against USC. Here's USC 2.0. Like, if you want a chance as a coaching staff, as a player on the field, to prove you can adapt and grow and fight and whatever other verb you want to put in there, here you go. This is another team like USC that should be ranked in the top 25. That wasn't. Now USC is. If Washington wins, they'll suddenly jump in there, but they're not in the SEC, so a 5-1 team doesn't get to be ranked. The stakes are incredibly high for Michigan here.
Yeah.
You win this game, that's a good football team. You win this game, you got your mojo back. You have a favorable schedule until Thanksgiving. Still in front of you. If you lose this game, it's 2024 all over again, and I'm done pretending poop doesn't stink. Michigan bounces back. I'm going to take 27-20. Michigan gets a huge win and keeps the season alive.
Will not surprise anybody. I do not agree with that whatsoever. I think this Washington offense is too explosive. I think the defense is better than what you saw USC come out with, and USC's defense played a stellar game this past weekend. I feel like because Haynes will be there for the full game, hopefully, I do think that makes it a little bit of a difference, but not enough. I've got Washington winning this one. Washington 28, Michigan 24.
Again, I could see it feels a little bit like the compass is kind of off, and you go, well, the things I thought we were pointed at, I don't know if we're pointed at anymore. Now, I will say this. Maybe for the last time ever, you feel a little bit like James Franklin in Penn State. You're trying to build like a champion, but you got beat by UCLA, and you might not know how to execute it. Aaron and the team at Elevated Integrity Construction have a winning pedigree and a team of All-Americans, a juggernaut of the industry, and a dynasty of championship builders. If you have a home, church, or business build, go with the folks with integrity right there in their name. It's elevatedintegrity.com. R.I.P. James Franklin. We'll miss you in the saddest fashion, if you will. 5,000 candles.
He'll be back, and I can't wait for you to just replace it with the Bruins.
The Rivalry Podcast, I'm just going to move on, is also a proud member of the Varsity Network, powered by Learfield. The Varsity Network, the must-have app if you call yourself a college football fan. Live broadcasts, on-demand podcasts like this one, free to download when you find the Varsity Network in the App Store. Be sure to search for the Rivalry Podcast. And the Rivalry is proud to partner with our friends at Homage again this season. Since 2007, Homage has been helping fans pay homage to the people, places, teams, and moments that matter most to them. They've got some phenomenal Detroit Tigers, Detroit Lions stuff they were gracious enough to send. If you're a Michigan guy, go get yourself some of that stuff. It's fantastic. If you're an Ohio State fan, they've got some Ohio State straight up stuff. It's kind of cool, okay?
And very comfy.
Very comfy. With quality craftsmanship, elite storytelling, and trademarked legendary comfort. As always, in the show notes, you'll see a link to Homage. Use that link, get yourself some merch, and it supports the podcast as well. And as we mentioned at the top, wherever you're listening right now, subscribe, rate, review, follow at RivalPod, and support the podcast by going to rivalpod.com, getting yourself some RivalPod merch, or throwing $5 our way. Say, hey, go get yourself a coffee. You're doing a great job. Or, hey, go buy yourself a coffee. Dump it on your head because you won't give Indiana any credit.
James Franklin, if you want to toss a couple of those bills our way, we'll stop trashing you on Will Route. How about that?
We can be bought.
Sounds like a fair trade to me.
Let's talk about Ohio State.
Let's do that.
Ohio State played a football game technically this weekend. and is going to Wisconsin for some cheese this coming weekend.
I can't wait.
Let's talk about Illinois.
Yeah, I want to talk about the bad first because I feel like
there wasn't a lot, was there?
This is where I'm maybe the worst fan because
well, I agree with that.
There are
already.
things that I walk away and you're like, okay, well, you were away against the number 17 team in the nation and you won 34-16 pretty convincingly. What is there to be angry about? Well, let me tell you, there's two big things for me.
I'm so glad you asked.
There's two big things that I took away this weekend that just irritate me. And the one is a part A and then a part B.
Fantastic. I'm glad you've segmented it out.
I'm segmenting my problems. That's what they said to do in therapy. I'm going to first start off with the red zone offense.
There's some bad. You're right.
It continues to be just chaotic. It's like Ohio State's offense is really, really good until you get within that 20-yard range, and all of a sudden we run the ball consistently and get nowhere and just do nothing with it. There were numerous circumstances within this game. I think there were two different ones where they had, two opportunities within Illinois' 10-yard line where they did not walk away with 6, and they settled for field goals. That works in a game like this. You saw that it worked like this.
Yeah.
When you go to a Big Ten championship game or you're in the playoffs, those are chances that you've got to capitalize on. We talked about it last year because they had similar issues. This is a thing where when you get that close, you've got to be the Ohio State that you talk yourself up to be. You've got to assert your will, and you've just got to get it in the end zone. Even if you just get it half the time there, I think I can live with it. But when I see the team routinely get down that deep into enemy territory, I've almost started to develop a habit where I go, well, we're going to 3-and-out this now. We're going to have to kick a field goal or go for it on 4th down and not get it, both of which I hate. And that's what happened this weekend 2 different times. The other thing, and this is the part A and part B, the run game still is a massive issue. Yeah. And I know that Bo Jackson got a little bit banged up, and they said that he's fine, whatever, no worries going into Wisconsin.
Correct.
But for numerous other reasons. But the run game was still an issue. Now, some of that you can take into account that Ohio State essentially started at the 50-yard line consistently.
For sure, yeah.
And box score watchers are going to go, well, they were outgained yardage and blah, blah, blah. What, Ohio State didn't play that well. Yeah, well, they started numerous times in Illinois territory. But the run game is still a major issue. The part B of that issue is, why am I seeing James People even on the field anymore? I know he only got 5 touches, whatever. I'm sick of it. I don't need to see it. And honestly, I would say I understand the usage of Donaldson. I don't love it. I understand it because he's playing more of that Mayan Williams type role from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I need 2 yards. Give it to Donaldson.
You need 2 yards, give it to Donaldson. I still don't think he executes it well, but I see why. He's the bigger body back. They're going to go with him. He just needs to learn to put his head down. I feel like so many times I watch him run and he tries to just do too many different things. He needs to learn his role. You're in there to get the 1 or 2 tough yards. Put your head down, fall forward, protect the ball.
Well, this is the same, and you mocked me for it. And thankfully this is one you have apologized on. I said in the offseason, Ohio State's run game is a big concern because ain't nobody worried about CJ Donaldson. And it's been proven accurate every single week. And every single week, that running back room is a massive question mark.
I absolutely thought Donaldson would be better, and he's gotten us touchdowns. Like he has been serviceable. He's gotten you
touchdowns, but to your point, I actually think you agree with this. He's gotten you touchdowns, but it's, hey, I need a yard.
Yeah. And honestly, sometimes he's struggled with that. It's taken him to 3rd or 4th down to get it.
Sometimes you run a jet sweep. Sometimes you run a jet sweep on 4th and 1.
And I say that to say I still fully believe Bo Jackson is the guy. I think this was a weird game.
He's the best running back in your room.
And I think he can correct those issues. I think he's got the skill. This isn't he's the best option we got. He clearly is. But I do think that he can get this Ohio State run game to be a real threat. This was a weird game because of their starting field position. He also got banged up. They also just didn't really need him to. Yeah. And so it was one of those things where it's like all those factor into it for sure. It's still a glaring issue going as you get deeper into these games.
I felt like Ohio State played, and I was complimentary after Minnesota. I'm complimentary after Illinois. Ohio State, both, 2 things are true here. Ohio State played very well, I thought. Yeah, they got, like you said, box score watchers, they got outgained. It's like, yeah, and you don't want that, but also you start at like the 50 or plus territory. Ohio State, I thought, played very well. Illinois, I thought, played very poorly. Mm-hmm. I mean, just how the sequence, just all the things that you need to do to pull off a massive upset, they did none of them.
Yes.
You know, you can look at the 2-play sequence of a first down, but the guy was out of bounds and didn't establish himself, and then the punter fields the ball on the ground. Like those 2 plays are all you need to see if this game to go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
That was karma for them ruling Jeremiah Smith not a catch, which was egregious in its own right. The positives, if you're an Ohio State fan, are pretty obvious. Julian Sain had a phenomenal game again. Not anything that's going to blow you away stat-wise, but he took care of the ball. He made some accurate throws. He was composed on the road in a big game. What more do you want? The defense, again, forced 3 turnovers, led to 21 points. They had 4 sacks, 6 TFLs. They held Illinois in check for a majority of the game. I went back and looked because if you watch the past 2 drives, and even Brett Bielema was like, I wanted to go tempo the whole game. No, you didn't. Shut up. No, you didn't. And but they were trying to say the whole yardage argument of, well, defense wasn't that impressive. Those final 2 drives from Illinois, they had like 116 yards total, which isn't great, but the game was wrapped up.
The game is over at that point.
Until that point, Ohio State had held Illinois to 179 yards total. Yeah. The defense was as good as advertised, especially in the red zone again, where they continued to finally break, but it took them a while. It was tough. It wasn't an easy go. The defense was yet again just spectacular. Jermaine Matthews, huge that game. I think he had a forced fumble, and he had the play that led to the interception on Illinois' first or second drive, where Peyton Pierce gets the interception. That's not Jermaine Matthews' normal role. Lorenzo Styles was out of the game. They were also without, I'm going to miss his name. Was it Houston that they were out?
Edric Houston was out.
Edric Houston also out for that game. 2 key pieces for the Ohio State defense. So Jermaine Matthews, usually playing corner, filling in with that safety spot. And just made 2 phenomenal plays, 2 turnovers. I mean, as game-changing as you would want from a guy that has shown a lot of promise. And if you remember the name, he's the dude that had the interception in the Texas game that was massive as well. When he's gotten playing time, the guy's just been spectacular. Wouldn't surprise me if he started to fill what you kind of saw with Arvell Reese last year, where he started to get more playing time as the season went on. Jermaine Matthews, that's a dude to watch out for.
At least that's a rotation that makes sense. Unlike Michigan taking Derek Moore off the field for Cam Brandt. It's fine. Hey, you play Wisconsin this weekend.
We do.
I'm fairly certain. I would have to double check my source on this. I'm fairly certain Camp Randall is now a Spirit Halloween.
I saw that.
I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure.
I also saw Beaver Stadium was.
Wisconsin Wisconsin is like give up 37 to Iowa at home bad.
Yes. They're on their 3rd string quarterback, and I looked at his stat line from the Iowa game.
It's bad.
Did you see this?
No, because I did not watch any of this game.
He was 8 of 21. He had 82 yards, 2 interceptions for a QBR of 0.8.
Well, it's not negative.
Would some say that that's good?
Not negative.
No.
I apologize because I don't have a lot to say
We're
about Wisconsin
here. We're going to have some really
here.
upset Badger fans in our comment section, and I just don't care.
Be better. I watched this team in Ann Arbor 2 weeks ago. I guess a week ago, whatever. I watched this team. They had the scripted drive that looked good, and then they punted 8 times in a row and threw a pick. This is a terrible football team. This is an absolutely awful football team. Their run defense is okay. I mean, when they played Michigan, they had the number 1, and this is why you have to be careful because they were the number 1 rush defense in the country when they played Michigan, and I think Michigan ran for 175, 200 on them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the good part of their defense. That's the good part of their team. That was what
their strength was.
That was the strength, and I'm just going to cut to the chase here. I mean, if you've got more, that's great. The largest margin of victory, I Googled Ohio State largest margin victory, Wisconsin, 59-0. And it happened.
I remember that.
It happened twice.
Game.
Happened twice. 2014, Urban Meyer. 1979, Earl Bruce. 2025, Ryan Day. 59-0.
You think it's 59-0? Oh, from your lips to God's ears.
Well, you don't even listen. Wisconsin is such a bad football team. This is the equivalent of you going into Happy Valley right now. I mean, they haven't fired Luke Fickell. They may
Ohio
as well
State
have.
beat Grambling State. What was it,
70?
Yeah. You think?
Yeah. It's by 11 less. What more do you want me to do?
Fair. How dare I?
I would
Only
pay
11.
good money I would pay good money for a bowl game featuring Grambling State and Wisconsin. And
No, you wouldn't.
I would bet on the G-men. I would bet on Grambling in that game. Wisconsin effectively doesn't have a head coach either.
They won't by the end of this year.
They may not by the end. Listen, you feel a little bit like Wisconsin was like, we can't do this, guys, mid-season. We can't. Penn State did what? All right, after Ohio State. After we'll go through, give a shot at Ohio State, and then we're going to fire him. If Luke Fickell will be gone by the time we record this next week.
You think? Oh, that's a spicy take.
It's not that spicy though.
He's going to be gone, but that soon?
By the end of next week.
Man, I do think this is an obvious blowout win for the Buckeyes. I don't have it at 59-0. I actually have it a little bit closer. I have it at 42-7. I think Wisconsin.
I have it a little bit closer by 35.
By 35. I think Wisconsin gets one. Probably late in the game. Wouldn't surprise me if it was a shutout. You're going to see Lincoln Keenholz get some playing time in this one.
Yeah.
It's going to be over with.
I feel like most of the country won't see any of that because Georgia Ole Miss is on at that same time.
Just have multi-view up.
Okay. So can we just talk real quick about this quad box multi-view thing?
Terrible.
So I watched the game with my dad this weekend and was phenomenal, was so much fun. But he's a quad box watcher. He's got the multi-view thing going on. And I don't know where to look. It is so chaotic. My eyes are terrible also, and I don't wear my glasses often.
You watched Bryce Underwood play and said he's better than Arch Manning. We knew your eyesight was terrible.
That was pretty good. That's the one I'm going to point.
Thank you.
That's good. That's the only thing you're getting. That's the only enough. You're done. But like I can't see what's happening on the field. There's 4 games going on. The audio is coming. I don't know which box it's coming from. You're trying to you maybe zoom in on one and then you go back to the quad box. The volume's completely changed. It's just a disaster. Don't stop watching things on multi-view.
Pick one.
Show some levels of commitment.
Yeah. Be loyal to something.
My gosh. But you might want multi-view this weekend because there is some really good
good games.
All right, let's do a little college football pick 'em around the nation here, and we will also do Stupid Genius. I believe it is still 23.5.
23.5
to 6.5. We both picked Maryland to beat Nebraska. That did not happen.
Close though.
Shout out Michigan's resume. Let's go. Which took a hit when Oklahoma lost to Texas, but it is okay.
Things are great.
For Stupid Genius, by the way, just in case they're in any of these picks, 5.5 point underdogs. Whatever the spread is at time of recording, if you pick that team, you get it right, you get that spread. Simple as that. Let's start with, and I feel dumb even picking this one, Louisville at Miami.
Yeah, that's stupid. That's the stupid part of Stupid Genius.
Is it just Miami, right? Are we done with that?
Yeah, it's Miami.
It's Miami, pretty handily. Louisville's not all that good?
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
Yeah,
okay,
Miami.
Great. Let's move on. LSU at Vanderbilt. This is where I think it gets a little spicy. Vanderbilt is it's number 10 LSU, number 17 Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt's favored in this game by 2.5.
Uh-huh.
It is in Nashville. This cannot be your Stupid Genius because it's only a 2.5 point spread. You're talking like you're going to do the thing.
You know where I'm going with this. There's one game a year that there's usually more, but I'm gonna say that there's only one where I let my heart decide.
That is every game you pick. What do you mean it's one game a year?
My brain immediately, when we sat down and I was prepping for this show, I put LSU and just nonchalant just kept going because it felt obvious. And then my heart tugged at me and was like, hold on a minute. Diego's not done yet.
Diego Pavia.
And I love the kind of player that he is. And I think that I feel like last year you had the Alabama win. Yeah. And just with the way the SEC is built, there's these top-ranked teams that eventually slip up somehow along the way. Well, that's
because it's a deep conference, JP.
Well,
that's said with sarcasm,
I don't think that's necessarily wrong, though. But this feels like a statement win for Diego and the Commodores this year. So I'm going Vandy.
I, again, have kind of staked my life on LSU winning the SEC, so I'm going to need them to not let that happen. I will roll. But
what does your heart want?
My heart wants Vanderbilt.
See? Yeah.
But I'm going to pick LSU.
Just let it go.
I'm going to pick LSU. But if Vanderbilt wins, I'm not going to be upset.
No, nobody will be.
Oklahoma at South Carolina. Now, here's where this one gets interesting. Is South Carolina obviously has not performed up to standard this year. Oklahoma's been very good, but that performance against Texas, I mean, I would think for Sooner fans is deeply concerning. 23-6, I think, was the final, something in that range. John Mateer didn't look great. My question is also, how healthy was he starting in that game?
Well, you saw him on the sideline, like consistently messing with his hands,
which makes sense.
Totally fair.
Did they rush him back? Did he say, no, I'm good to go? Again, talking with family this weekend, we were kind of thinking through it almost felt like, now Michigan obviously won this game, but Blake Corum giving it a go against Ohio State in 2022. He played a snap and clearly couldn't cut. And so sat out the rest of the game. Mateer played this game, but you wonder how healthy that was. So has that improved this week or did he re-aggravate? Who knows? I'm going to take Oklahoma in this game because I do still think that the defense is just that good. I think the offense will play better than they played against Texas. And I think that helps take the pressure off the defense.
Yeah, I think even a Mateer that's not 100% is still good enough that they should be able to pretty easily win this game.
That is a massive win, by the way, for Texas. Texas on the verge of just imploding themselves.
Improve Ohio State's resume. Let's go.
It does, though. It does.
I know, 100%.
So we'll see what Texas looks like moving forward, but they definitely... I'm sure they get the advantage of Mateer not being really healthy for that, but you still won and won pretty convincingly. That's a good win for them. Ole Miss at Georgia. This is probably the premier matchup. There's a handful of good ones. There's a lot
of really good football.
This is probably the matchup this week. Number 5 Ole Miss at number 9 Georgia. The Dogs favored by 6.5.
I'm flip-flopping a lot on this. I don't know if you struggled with this at all.
I did.
I think that I'm going to go Georgia. I think that's where I'm going to land. I really like Ole Miss. I would love for them to pull this victory off, but it's a home game, and I trust Kirby Smart to fake a timeout or call a timeout and then fake like he was clapping again. I'm going to go the Dogs.
This is my stupid genius this week. The SIP, 6.5 point underdogs. I'm going to take Ole Miss. I don't think it's a crazy upset. I mean, you're the number 5 team in the country.
Yeah.
Here's what I know. Ole Miss struggled with Washington State this past weekend. I feel like every team in the country tends to have one of those games, though, where they struggle with a team that's like, what are you doing? But they came away with a win, and that's what matters most. Georgia, I still do not buy. And I don't
know if I would either.
Because here's the deal. They lost to Alabama. They somehow beat Tennessee. And they somehow beat Auburn. I don't buy, we've talked about Ohio State not being unbeatable death machine, although they are moving closer to that realm. Georgia does not look like unbeatable death machine Georgia. They look like a team that could have had 3 losses this season. Now, to their credit, they don't. They've got 1. I think Ole Miss, especially coming off a performance like that against Washington State, as much as I don't care for Lane Kiffin at all, I think he has his team ready to go. And I think now, a lot of this depends on how many timeouts Kirby Smart's allowed to have and whether or not he's clapping or calling a timeout. I'm going to take Ole Miss in this
When's the last time that you've clapped like this?
I clap like that all the time.
That's how normal people clap.
Definitely what happened there. Tennessee at Alabama. This is, again, a fascinating primetime game. Bama 7.5 point favorites. Alabama, for as much as we buried them after week 1.
I've been pretty adamant on the train of Bama's on their way back and for weeks.
Alabama makes no sense. You got manhandled by Florida State, and Florida State is just fallen off a cliff.
I'm going Alabama.
I'm going to take Alabama too, and I hate it.
I think they figured it out. I think week 1 was one of those weird games, and I'm not going to hold their entire season on that. I mean, you have to take some of it into account for sure, but Ty Simpson has been playing really well. They've been handling business. This would be Bama's 4th ranked opponent in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
I mean, just a gauntlet. They've been perfect throughout it.
The reality is that, Alabama's got a tough schedule still, but so far, outside of Florida State, they've passed the Georgia test. They passed the Vanderbilt test last week or a couple weeks ago. They passed the Mizzou test. At this point, I don't have a reason not pick at them. I'm also hoping that by picking them,
look,
Joey Aguilar looks like classic Joey Aguilar again.
I would love nothing more than to see Bama lose. I just don't see it.
This one, another primetime game, and again, that's the one game you'll flip back and forth to with this one, It's USC at Notre Dame. What do we make of Notre Dame at this point? I mean, Notre Dame, we buried Notre Dame. Mm-hmm. We buried Notre Dame.
It's my favorite thing to do.
And I am still going to contend. I will still contend this team does not deserve the college football playoff, even if they win out. Their schedule does not bear up. USC isn't a top 10 team. They're a good team. Trust me. They're
top
team,
25.
But they're ranked 20th. You cannot still tell me, and I'll get to the pick in here in a minute, you still cannot tell me Notre Dame loses to Miami and A&M, the only two great teams they play, and their best win is going to be possibly number 20 USC. That does not get you a spot in the college football playoff. You beat up on NC State? Cool. Notre Dame. I will take the Irish.
Notre Dame is 0-2 in ranked games this season, as you just mentioned.
Yep.
This USC offense is built different. And to be simple, I just hate Notre Dame. Give me USC. Let's go, baby.
That's your stupid genius, as the Irish are favored by 7.5. Right?
It might be.
What do you mean it might be?
It might be. I have two options. I haven't decided. I was going to go on the moment.
Oh my gosh.
They're an option.
To be perfectly clear, I am picking Notre Dame. I am wanting USC because, again, you want Michigan. You want your resume, right? By the way, as far as resumes go, for Michigan, if you win out, you're going to the college football playoff. Doesn't matter. If you lose another game, you're not going, and it doesn't matter. So in one sense, whatever, but in another sense, I'd like to feel better about my life as a college football fan. Also, hate Notre Dame. So, okay, so my stupid genius is Ole Miss. What do you have here? Is it not USC at 7.5?
My stupid genius this week. It's going to be something we've already talked about. I'm going Washington over Michigan. That's my stupid genius for this week.
What's the spread there? Is it 5.5?
5.5 on the dot.
Okay. Like, I'm not going to...
Those are my two options.
Why would you not take the one with the larger point spread?
Because I have more confidence that Michigan's going to crumble again, obviously.
Okay. Well, that's dumb.
My head tells me Notre Dame is going to win, but I refuse to say that out loud. And so I'm going to let you... My heart wants me to pull for USC, and so I'm going there. But both are telling me that Washington's beating Michigan.
This is... your head and your heart. Wherever you're listening right now, be sure that you subscribe, rate, review, leave a comment. I believe our comment section blew up last week. We had our second highest viewed video ever, the Michigan USC prediction. So again, please continue to share with friends, rate, review, go in the comment section, tell JP is an idiot. I agree with you. I'll pop down there myself and just like every comment that says JP doesn't know what he's talking about. I will go in and personally, from the rivalry
account. There's a $5 charge for every person that says that.
That's fine.
By the end of the year, I will be accepting my apologies.
Rivalpod.com if you'd like to pay to continue to hear terrible takes from JP. Enjoy college football this weekend. Follow wherever you social media at RivalPod, and we'll see you next week. The Rivalry Podcast is part of the Varsity Network from Learfield and the River Podcast Network from River Radio Ministries.
New episodes out every Monday.
Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review wherever you're listening right now, and follow on social media at RivalPod and RivalPod.com.
And if you like what you hear, share with a friend so they can listen too.